Please go to elithecomputerguy.com and failednormal.com to see the videos that are too dangerous for YouTube. Welcome back. So in this video, we're going to start expanding your horizons on what an Arduino Uno with Wi-Fi or what an Arduino Uno with a network shield can do for you. So we've done a lot of projects, and in those projects, the Arduino is able to take in information and then it's able to output information. It may output information to an LED light, it may output information to an LCD screen, or it may output information to a web browser. So this can be very useful in some circumstances, but it really does have a limited utility. Wouldn't it be nice if you could actually send out information from the Arduino to a server and then have that server actually be able to process a response? So doing things like connecting to Twilio or connecting to email services, something along those lines. One of the great things that you can do with an Arduino Uno with Wi-Fi or just a normal network shield is you can actually send data to a server using post. So post is usually used if you're dealing with the web world. If you go to an HTML form, you input your first name, your last name, your email address. Basically, you hit submit, and then that posts that information to a script on a server, and then that script is able to parse that information and then do whatever it is you want it to be done. So it can either just simply print it out on a screen, it can print it to a text file, it can send it to a database, or it can do a whole bunch of other things. And so that's one of the things that makes post a very valuable tool, is now you're able to get all of the resources, all of the utility out of whatever server you are running versus just dealing with whatever the options the Arduino has. So now you can post to a full-fledged Linux server or a full-fledged Windows server, use the entire Active Directory services in order to actually do something based off of the data that is being sent by the Arduino Uno with Wi-Fi, or again, if you have a network shield. So that's what we're going to be showing you today. Basically, the project that I'm going to do today is I have our standard analog temperature sensor. So we use this as just the standard sensor to give us like dynamic variables, values for variables. Then I have the Arduino Uno with Wi-Fi. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a sketch for this Arduino Uno with Wi-Fi. It is going to find out what the temperature is, and then it will post that data to a PHP script on our server, and then that PHP script on our server will parse the values of the variables that have been given to it, and then it will actually give an output. So all we're going to do today, it is important to understand when we're talking about post, you can write an incredibly complicated script. We're just going to be simple today. All we're going to do is we're going to take the value of the variable, we are going to print out a timestamp, and then we're going to print out what the temperature is. That's all we're going to do. So what our post is going to do is the data is going to be sent from the Arduino Uno with Wi-Fi to our PHP script. Our PHP script is then going to see what the value of the variable is. It will then print out a timestamp and it will print out a temperature on an HTML file that we've created, and then it will overwrite. So every time we refresh, we will get a new value for what the temperature and what the timestamp is. So with that, let's go over to the workbench. I'll just show you how this is built, and then more importantly, we'll go to the code. I'll show you both the Arduino sketch and the PHP script that we're using for this. Then I'll show you how it all works in the real world. So this is our project that's been built. Again, for this project, it's very simple. We have our standard analog sensor that we've used many times right now. So we have it plugged into the 5 volt, we have it plugged into the ground, and then for the sensor wire, we have it going to A5. So again, it's an analog temperature sensor, so that goes to A5. And this really all there is to building the project. So what we're gonna do is we are going to plug this into the computer in order to power the Arduino and to be able to read from the serial monitor to verify what we're seeing in the web browser is the same as on the serial monitor. But do realize if you don't care about the serial monitor, you can just simply plug this into its own power supply once the code has been uploaded to it, and it no longer has to be connected to a computer. So basically you could create this project, connect it to a power supply, put it into your server room or wherever else, and it can just simply truck along without any additional computer being plugged into it. So with that, let's go over and take a look at the sketch and the PHP code. So here's the code for this particular project. It is relatively simple, but you do have to make sure you type everything in perfectly. Remember, you have one computerized device talking to a server and a script, and if you screw anything up, it will not work properly. So do make sure when you're writing all this out, you don't fat finger things, because that can run you into some issues. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to include our library. So we have the Wi-Fi 9 library here. This is the library that we use for the Arduino Uno with Wi-Fi, and that's all we need as far as libraries are concerned. Then we have the temperature sensor, and so we have the sensor pin, and we have that defined for A5, connected to A5 like normal. Then we come down and we have the information required to connect to our Wi-Fi here. Again, I have a guest network that I've set up. The name of that network is test, and for me, for trouble, so I don't have to go into stupid troubleshooting, I just leave the password as blank so I don't run into any random issues. So SSID is test, password is blank. Then as far as the Wi-Fi connection is concerned, we have to create a variable for status. We're going to set that to WL_idle_status. So we're going to simply create the variable status and set it to basically idle to begin with. Then we're going to come down and we have to create a variable for our server. So what server are we connecting to? Now all you're going to do is, all you're going to put in here, to be clear, is the server. So I've actually created a folder on the EliTheComputerGuy.com server called test. You will notice that is not here. All I want to do is give it the server information. We'll give it the test folder later. So we'll do char server brackets equal and whatever web server you're pointing this to. So www.EliTheComputerGuy.com, www.failednormal.com, www.mydomain.com. Whatever server you're pointing it to, you are pointing it just to the server here. You don't put the subdirectories that you're going into. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to create a string. So we have to create a couple of variables in order to send the data with a post. And so the first variable that we're creating is post data. So this is the data that will be sent using the post. Then we're going to create a string called post variable. So this is the name of the variable that we're going to be sending, and we have that temp equals. So basically what's going to happen is temp equals, and then we'll get the number for temperature Fahrenheit, and all of that will be sent as post data. So it's temp and equals. You got to make sure you have the equal there. So this right here can basically be whatever the hell you want it to be. This is whatever variable name you want it to be, but you do have to have this equal at the end. So basically it's saying this variable equals, and that's how it's gonna work for the post. Then we have the Wi-Fi client. So again, this is just more of the Wi-Fi connection, and that's that. Then we're going to go down and we're actually going to set up our environment, and this looks basically the same as every other time we're using the Wi-Fi. So we're going to do serial.begin 9600 to start our serial monitor. Then we're going to do the while loop. So this while loop is what actually connects us to the Wi-Fi network, basically attempting to connect to network named test, then Wi-Fi.begin, test, and the password. It'll keep looping, it'll keep doing the while loop until it's actually connected. Once it's been connected, then on the serial monitor, it'll print out the SSID, the name of the SSID, and then it will print out the IP address. So once it's actually connected, it'll print out the SSID and the IP address so that we know it is connected, and we'll be able to read that on the serial monitor. And then we get down to the new cool stuff. So this is the loop. So this is the loop that we're going to be going through. So the first part of the loop is the copy and paste. So the copy and paste in order to read from a analog temperature sensor. This is just that normal thing. Again, at this point, just copy, paste it, keep moving. This is what creates the variables for temperature C, for temperature Celsius if you want, or temperature F. So temperature Fahrenheit is what we care about. And so what we're going to do here is this post data string, right? So this post data string, this variable up here, remember it is a string, is what we're going to do is post data equals, and so post variable, so what that means is post data equals temp equals, and then plus temperature F. So whatever the value of temperature F is. So what this is going to do is it's going to say post data equals temp equals 77 or 76.35 or whatever else. So this is what's going to be sent in the post. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to go to actually send the information in the post. So if client.connect to server, so server, if we go up here, that's EliTheComputerGuy.com. If connect to server at port 80, so if it's able to connect, then what we want to do is client.println, so this is going to print out to the server that we're connecting to, post, so we're saying this is a post, and this is where you put the subfolder and then the script that you're posting to. And this is the only place that you put it. So again, if you're creating a test folder or whatever subfolder, again, I would highly argue you should create subfolders if you're doing these tests. So what we're saying is in the test subfolder, we want to post this to the post.php script. So I created a post.php script, and so this is then sending. So it's going to the server, so it's going to EliTheComputerGuy.com /test/post.php. Then simply saying HTTP 1.1. Then we go down here to the print line, another print line, host, EliTheComputerGuy.com. Then we tell it what content type. Then we tell it the content length. And so we get the content length by using this function, post data dot length. And so this will send. And so basically what this is doing is this is sending information so that the server knows what's coming. And then finally, we're going to come down here and we're going to do client.print post data. So what we're doing is we are sending the post data, so the post variable plus the temperature Fahrenheit, we are sending that to the post.php. If client is still connected, then client stops. Then one of the things I've added in here is we're going to serial.println post data. So then in the serial monitor, we'll also be able to view what the Arduino is sending out to make sure that it's right. Again, one of the biggest problems with scripts and servers and all those kinds of things is that you fat finger something and you put a capital T, or you put a capital in the wrong place, or you put a space in the wrong place. So what this does is this is going to print out for a troubleshooting procedure. It'll print out to the serial monitor so we know what is actually being sent. So this is going to get sent to this post.php script. If we go down here, so here is the PHP script that's going to be parsing the data that is being sent by the Arduino using post. So I have called this post.php. You can call it basically whatever the hell you want, as long as you put that name into the Arduino code, but do have it end with .php so the server knows how to deal with it. So it needs to have that .php extension. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open the PHP script to say, hey, we have PHP code here, and then we're going to start creating the variables. So the first variable that I'm creating is $time. Now when you're dealing with PHP, you have to put a $sign in front of the variable name. That's just one of the quirks of PHP. So we have $time, and then we're going to make $time equal to the value of the time function. So this time function will simply spit out a number, basically the time in computer speak. And what I'm using this for is I'm using this for a troubleshooting procedure, right? So when I use a web browser and I go to temp.html, I want to make sure that it's updating how it's supposed to update. I can do that rather easily if I have a time code, right? So if I go and I refresh the page and the time code updates, then I know that the script is at least functioning, at least the script is running, and things are being printed. If I go to the page and the time code does not update, then I know there's a problem with the script. So this time code here, it's not going to be formatted into day and date and time and all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be it's just going to be a pure number that the computer deals with. All that I care about is from a troubleshooting standpoint, I can see that number is updating. This is something that I would probably rip out if I actually was putting this into a production project, but at least right now I'm using it just for troubleshooting. I may rip it out, or I may format it into a time and date that's a little more easy to use, but here I'm just pulling the raw number. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the $temp. So basically the variable for temperature Fahrenheit, and we're going to make it equal to $_post bracket, double quotation, temp. So when we go over here to the Arduino code, if we go up, you see how post variable is temp equals. So that's what we're looking at, is we're looking for the value of temp. So temp equals, and we come down here, so post data is post variable, so temp equals whatever the temperature is. Right? So when we're looking at this for the variable, so we're going to look at what's being sent in that post, and we're going to see the value for temp, what temp equals, and then we are going to set the value of temp f to whatever this value is. Then the next thing that we need is the file. So whenever you're dealing with PHP, basically you turn everything into a variable. So we have $file, and then we have to tell it what file are we printing this information to. So we're going to make it equal single quotation mark temp.html. So more or less, you can make this whatever the hell you want. We take temp.htm, temp.html, billybobob.html, whatever you're going to remember. This is simply the file that we're printing out to. Now with PHP, if this file does not exist, it will be created. So you don't have to create this initially if you don't want to. So yeah, put in whatever name. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create the data that will be sent to this file. So what I want to do here is I want to format everything. I want to bring all the data together into one nice, neat little package so that I can send it to the file. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be concatenating. So basically I'm super gluing some different variables and data together. So data is going to equal the value of the variable time. So basically whatever this time code is. And then to concatenate in PHP, you use the period. So this super glues something to the end. So we do double quotation marks, and what we're super gluing to the end of time is 2 spaces, a hyphen, and 2 spaces. So we're just doing a little formatting here. So we're going to have the value of time, space, space, hyphen, space, space. Then we're going to do period again. So this is going to super glue then the $temp f, so the value for temperature Fahrenheit. So what it's going to do is it's going to give us a time code, space, space, hyphen, space, space, and then whatever the temperature Fahrenheit is. Then what we're going to do is in PHP, there's this function called file underscore put underscore contents. Basically, this simply writes data to a file. And so we are going to give it the variable $file. So this is the file. So we're going to be sending to temp.html, and then we are going to say send to temp.html the data. So we're going to be sending this to temp.html, and that right there is all there is to this particular code. So let me upload this code to the Arduino, and I can show you how it works. So now I'm going to plug the Arduino in to my computer, so this will give it power, and I will also be able to read from the serial monitor. With that, we'll go up to Tools, we'll go up to Serial Monitor, and see what's going on with it. So we can see currently that it's trying to connect to the network name test. This will take about 10 seconds for it to connect. Let's see here. Okay, now it's connected. So we've got SSID test. We've got the IP address, 172.16.42.5, and now it's printing out the information. So temp equals 68.56 is what is being sent to that script, that post.php script that we have up on eliTheComputerGuy.com. So then I can open up Google Chrome. And so as you can see here, this eliTheComputerGuy.com /test. So this is the subfolder. And then we're going to temp.html. Again, don't fat finger, don't be stupid. don't go to post.php. Post.php is the script you send the data to. Temp.html is where you're reading it, right? In a human readable format. So I go here, you can see this is the old time code and this is the old temperature. If I do a refresh, we can see the important thing is we see the new time code and the new temperature. Again, one of the important things to remember is when you're looking at the serial monitor, this is auto updating. Do realize if you're looking at this basic web page, literally all this is text. So if you want it to update, you actually have to click the refresh. And as you click the refresh, you can see that the temperature changes. So there we go. So we see right here, so the temperature stayed the same, but the time code changed, so we know the script is working. Now if I go here, and again I put my finger on the little analog temperature sensor to try to heat it up, then I can refresh, and there we go. We see it goes up to 79.11, and then I can refresh, we see it goes up to 81, and if I refresh again, we see it goes to 82. If I take my finger off, give it a second, then refresh again, now it goes down to 80. So this is showing you that the Arduino is sending the data up to that post.php script. That post.php script is parsing that data and sending it over this temp.html page, and we are able to open it up. Again, all of this being printed out right now is just pure text. If you wanted to make this fancy with HTML tags, or again, if you wanted to dump this into a database or whatever else, that's up to you. But this shows you the basics of using Post with the Arduino Uno with Wi-Fi. And so that's all there is to this particular project. Again, it's a very simple setup as far as hardware is concerned. Then all we're doing is we're creating a sketch for the Arduino. We're having that sketch using Post send the data to a post.php script. Again, you can call that whatever you want. Basically, it's just a script in order to parse the data that's coming in through the post and then to send it somewhere else. We just simply sent it to a file as plain text. But again, if you know what you're doing, you can dump this into any kind of database. You can parse this with other types of scripts. You can do all kinds of fancy things. The main thing I'm just trying to get through to you here is that this can send data to a server. The server then can parse that data, and then fancy things can happen. So I think this is an absolutely great tool. And again, this is one of those things that makes Arduinos incredibly useful. Because imagine if you have Arduinos around with all types of of different sensors. So imagine if you had some kind of accelerometer. So if you were in a warehouse environment and it's detecting whether like shelving gets knocked or some kind of pallets get knocked. If it gets knocked, it could post that data to a server, and then that server would then be able to do things like send out a notification on a Twilio API, something like that. That's one of the really important things to understand with Arduino, because a lot of people, they look at Arduino and they go, it's a little Arduino. It's a little Arduino. Why the hell should I care about Arduino? And one of the reasons I get frustrated is it's like anything in technology. Each individual component in the technology industry really isn't that amazing. What's amazing is when you tie all of these things together. It's not that the Arduino is like the most amazing thing in the world. It's that the Arduino is something that allows you to create custom sensors that are then able to send information to servers. Those servers, you can then create scripts that again can do email notifications or SMTP notifications or fire off all kinds of things. And that's one of the things you have to be thinking about in the technology world is just don't say like, how do I make money off of Arduino? That's not really how it works. It's one of those, how do I use Arduino and a server and APIs and all of these things to solve a problem? So again, like I said, with these little Arduinos, one of the great things too is you can actually send data from multiple different sensors on the Arduino. So I simply showed you how to send information from one variable, but literally you could have 20 different values being collected by the Arduino. You could have light sensors, you could have accelerometer sensors, you can have temperature sensors, you can have humidity sensors. And so imagine just if every minute it sends that information up to a server, that server then just dumps that into a database, and then once it's in a database, you're dealing with SQL, and then the sky's the limit as far as how you want to analyze all the data that's in that database. So this is why Arduino gets to be really cool. Again, you look at it, turning on LEDs, printing things out to LCDs. They're nice, and that can be very useful. But one of the things that really makes the Arduino a great little tool, especially in the IT world, is the fact that you can now send the information to a server, and then once that information is on a server, once it gets dumped into a database or a file, then a lot of amazing things can happen. So when you're dealing with the Arduino, this is one thing I want you to think about, is learn the Arduino, but then realize the products you're going to be putting in the field, the products you're going to be putting in the production environment, it's going to be the Arduino with a Linux server, with APIs, so on and so forth. So that's all there is to this particular project. We will do more projects where we'll actually be sending more variables. If you want to look into it, you can do some Google search to see. Basically, you just use the and. Again, all it is post. All it is if you understand post. But we'll do another project with that in the future. With this, I just wanted to show you how to use one variable and be able to send it. Once you feel comfortable with that, then we'll start doing more complicated things. As always, I enjoy doing this video and look forward to seeing you on the next one.